Alrighty, so hopefully uh, you can see my face, and I'm going to minimize this so that it's just down there and I can see the rulebook. Um, so a couple of days ago, Chris Newton for the MegaDumbCast podcast released a blue booking episode where he went through and created the town of Duckarm. And I enjoyed that very much. And I never actually found that bit in third edition because I never owned the three books, and it looked like a lot of fun. So during the process, he discovered that there was a barbarian township nearby, and as it is a larger settlement, so I thought I'd use the very same rules to follow in his suits and do the same thing. So we're going to make a large barbarian township using exactly the same rules, starting on page 137. And the first thing we need to do is determine the size of this place. And I'm going to re-roll anything that's too small. Wow, I got a 4. That's very small on D100. I got a 55. That means that we have a small town. I mean, compared to a Thorpe, it is much, much larger. So we'll say it's the business end. Yep, it's a small town. Fully 70% of all places you find in a Dungeons and Dragons world will be small towns. I'm going to say that it is. Oh, we got a table. Let's find out how many people live there. So it's 900 plus. Let me see. Okay, there are 1,600 people who live in this this small town of barbarians. Now, the next thing we need to know is, oh, just before that, we actually have the page before that. It talks about the possible climates and terrain types that you can have in an area. There are 3 kinds of climate types, so I'm going to roll for that just to see where we are in the D&D world. It's a 3, and that means that we have a climate type of warm, so it's pretty warm here. There's not a lot of snow, so a large portion of the year it is seasonally warm, may even be subtropical or tropical. And in the terrain type, we have 6 different possible terrains, so we're not going to get underground. Whoops, wrong dice type. There we go. I've rolled a 1, which means we have an aquatic terrain type. So that's water or fresh or salt water. So I'm going to say that this actually is at the confluence of the river, either where their stream comes in or a few streams come in. So this is a sort of a river confluence town. And that's possibly how they get their business. Maybe they're big on liking rivers. Now, demographics. Now, I'm going to be using Australian demographics. And just using a similar sort of thing of, I've got to look that up. Hopefully it won't be too different from the US, and it might reflect that they're a barbarian culture. Right. So we have our small town, 1,600 people. Its GP limit is 800. Now we're going to figure out its power center. So let's see what its power center is. I've rolled a 4. That's pretty bog standard. That means it has a conventional power status. There is a town government, a mayor, a council, or something. And because it is a small town, we have a +2, but it doesn't. We didn't get anything interesting. Didn't get any non-standard or magical. We then go on to what is the alignment of the power center. Let's find out. Oh, I've rolled a 92. Okay, so this township is neutral evil. Right, so they don't really care about following the law, but they're very, very evil. So these are neutral evil barbarians. Still able to trade, I guess. So if we look up the definition of neutral evil, we can find out exactly what that means. Pragmatism without honor and without variation. Survival of the most ruthless. Neutral evil characters do whatever they can get away with, and are completely out for themselves. Most career criminals are neutral evil. So I'm guessing that this is basically a kind of massive criminal enterprise, at least according to the law of some parts of the land. They steal shit, they break shit up, so maybe they're actually wreckers. And the reason they're seen as barbarians is because they're outside the law system, and yeah, so they are. The community is it says here are usually oppressed and subjugated by the power center. So there may be some good barbarians in there. We don't know. Let's find out who the central authority is in this place. I've rolled a 1, which means it's a highest level warrior. So I'm thinking these guys are a little bit like, sort of wise guy Klingons, right? They believe in strength. They believe in whoever can kill the most people, gather the most skulls. Now I'm thinking them as predators. Sure, why not? That's a good riff. Now we have to figure out how many. Now that is the authorities. For every 100 people in the community, which that's 16. There are 20. There is 1 full-time guard or soldier, so there are 16 guards under the. Let's call him Chief Wrecker. Right, there we go. He's the Chief Wrecker, and his job is to smash boats, steal shit, and take people's stuff, kill them, and take their stuff, as we used to say. And there are, for every 20 people, they can conscript some guys, so they can get up to 80 militia. All right, now we're going to figure out what other classes we have in this place. Right, so right, so our community modifier for a small town is 0. That makes it easier. Okay, so let's find out how many highest level adepts we have. So we're going to roll a d6 and add 0. We have 6 adepts. We have 1d4 aristocrats. I'm thinking these are people who have sort of done so much wrecking that they've retired. That's 4 aristocrats. And we have 24 barbarians. I'm going to say that this actually represents, for them, who they see as barbarians. There are 2 barbarians, so I'm going to call them outsiders. They live like the Ed's race, the humans do. We got 1d6 bards, 1d6 clerics. Let's go. All right. We have 3 clerics, 2 bards. I have to come up with a god for them to worship. Come back to that. We have 44 commoners. Weird that no matter how big your town is, you're not going to have a huge much more people with levels. Like, even though this is a town of 2,000 people, you don't have that many high level people. It just doesn't scale. So we've got 9 commoners, even NPC levels. They're just everyone else is just boring. Yeah, oh, this is the highest level. Obviously, it will level down, but still. Right, what level will they be? Going back. Use the following to determine the levels of all the pools. Right, for PC classes, the highest level is the 2nd level or higher. I may have done this wrong. Right. And then roll and apply that modifier to the result. What goes away to the levels? Oh, okay. Right. Okay, so we go downwards. Right. So there is a level 6 adept. I did that wrong. There's a level 6 adept. There's a level 4 aristocrat. There's a level 2 outsider. There's a level 3 cleric. There's a level 2 bard. There's a level 9 commoner. So we would just go down and work our way out to how many people there were of that. Yeah, when we have that, we then scale down, going by 2 each time. So for our level 6 adept, we have 2 level 3 adepts and 4 level 1 adepts. So that to me tells you that there's some sort of big skill aspect here. I'm going to say, let me have a look at what the adept class covers. Go looking for the adept. We go to NPC classes. Oh, the fun of turning pages. All right. Whoops, wrong button. So we have back to the skills that adepts can have. Get an idea of who this might be. So the adept, yes, these are sorcerers. Okay, so there's some sort of magic system going on here. We'll figure out what kind of magicians they are. The adept is, yeah, lesser knowledge of magic, or an intriguing combination of arcane and divine. Right, so these are sort of the mystical defenders. And yeah, then we have some aristocrats. We have a level 4 aristocrat, which means we have 2 level 2s, 1 level 1, 4 level 1s. I'm guessing that is sort of the kings of this village, and they are people who I'll come back to that. I'm not sure. I'll have to figure out exactly why they're rich, but they're not the sheriff. We've got commoners, whole bunches of them, and we have now moving on to experts. Back we go. We have, oh, haven't done druids, 1d6. 1d6 druids. We have a first level druid. That's an interesting character in this place. I'm going to say, yeah, so this person I think probably is someone who's in tune with the river spirit, and he's not actually respected. And he might be an interesting character to talk to because it's like, well, these guys are all jerks. We've got 3d4 experts. Let's have a look. How many experts do we have? God knows why. Small towns are better for this because you can actually get into the politics. All right, so we have a level 8 expert. That's quite a lot. Again, that's going to give us 2 level 4s, 4 level 2s, and 8 level 1s. So that suggests that there's some sort of guild going on. Even though we have a town of 1,600 people, we have 17 people in a sort of school of experts. And I'm wondering if those people are the boat makers, since these guys go out and attack people on the sea. Let's say that that's the boat making class. So I think this is a mixed place. We've got some more classes too. We have some fighters. Of course, there's going to be some high-level fighters here, probably. Let's find out. There is a level 2 fighter and 2 level 1s. So that's sort of suggesting that actually the aristocrats and the wizards are in charge here, even though we had a high-level wrecker that was in charge. He's only actually level 2. So Possibly these guys are wizards. They're barbarian magicians. That sounds pretty cool. Then we have monks, paladins, and rogues. Okay, so it is 1d4 the number of monks. That's one monk. One level 1 monk, I should say. Paladin. It's very rare to find paladins. A level 2 paladin. Just a smattering of religion. Actually got some paladins and some holy orders, which is again suggesting this is a bit of a mystical place. Rangers, very low. 2 rangers, or sorry, a level 2 ranger. We actually have, see, rogues you just find everywhere. It's a weird thing about a society. If there's just, I guess it's because rogues are the everyman. They can do everything. Yes, we have a level 8 rogue in the town. And that means we have a whole sort of rogues guild. Okay, so yeah, these are definitely thieves. And there's a class system. There's a strong caste system about whether you are a boat maker, a wizard, or a thief. Let's find out how many sorcerers. Highest level sorcerer is a D4. That's a 2. And the highest level wizard is a 2, right? Okay. I'm guessing that those 2 guys are in charge of the adepts. Those guys and their followers. So there's like a bit of a power struggle going on there between those guys. And finally, we have 2d4 warriors. There's 5 of them. Okay, so, and then, sorry, there's a level 5 warrior, which means there's about, a steady amount of guards. I think those are sort of the fighting class. So we actually have these sort of interesting power struggles. We have the power base is actually centered in the fighting class, the chief warrior, and their guards and smashers. But a lot of the power of the society in terms of how they raid people is coming from rogues. So that's striking at night, climbing up things, stealth, and this group of magicians, which are all under this sort of tutelage between one guy who's a sorcerer and one guy who's a wizard. So we need to figure out exactly what's going on there. There's a little bit of religion as well, so there's some sort of perhaps worship going on, but it's not very naturey because there's only one druid and a low-level ranger. So we now have to go into the political structure of this place. We can use all sorts of different political structures. I'm thinking this place, well, we've got to choose whether this is a clan structure, is it feudalism, is it a magocracy, which is fun to say. We've got cultural tendencies, legal issues. I'm going to just go 1, 2. Let's have a look. It's always good to roll. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so there are 8. There are 7 different possible government strategies. Let's roll a 1d8, see which one we get. And we rolled a 2, which means we have a tribal and clan structure. Okay, so things are about clans, and that's what we have. We have a sort of group of people who are organized strongly around their class. I'm going to say it's a pretty mixed group. So we're not going to be all sorts of races, but we're going to figure out like how many of each race we have. So we have about 80% humans, that means. What I'm actually going to do is roll on that table, and if I get something that isn't human, well, whatever I get on that, the racial mix, that will tell me what the dominant race is of this settlement. So if I get 1 to 79, it'll be human, and it's a human, right? So there's a human society. There are some small numbers of other groups among them, halflings, elves, dwarves. Right, so that's our group society. Now we're going to have a look at what else we're going to add for these people. So they have some sort of religion. If we're looking for a god of neutral evil, looking at the terrible uh, pantheon that we have here, we're looking at someone who is could be Vecna, um, could be Wee Jas, could be all sorts of things. Let me see. We could be. Who was that guy with all those? We could be Hextor. Um, this doesn't actually have the gods in them. I have to go to the player's handbook. One moment while I remind myself of the player's handbook. We're going to find out the average age. So I'm going to say these people represent standard Australia. So about a fifth of them are between 25 and 40, and about half of them have been between 10 and 60% have been 10 and 55. Very, very few are older than that. I think there's probably coming of age at a certain point. Let me just go look up the PHB to see about some of these gods that they worship. Just like Kris, I'm going to go all the way to the description chapter. Zooming through this thing on my desktop, finding the right page. Nope, that's feats. Okay. Now here we go. Here we go. Got our gods. We can look them up. I generally agree with Kris about all of these things, that the gods are pretty rubbish in this edition. And honestly, they never really solved that. They sort of came at, like a lot of things in D&D, it's a bit half-assed. And they never really went back and fixed it. Okay, so now we are looking at our gods. We are looking for someone who is neutral evil. Okay, so Hextor would fit. Conflict and destruction, that fits. We have Grumpsh, who is, oh, this is cute. Whatever PDF this was scanned in from, someone has edited the error that says Grumpsh is lawful evil. He certainly isn't. Let's have a look. I do like these guys worshipping Vecna. That's kind of interesting, like that they're big on magic. Magic barbarians is just a kind of interesting idea. We also have Wee Jas, who fits really well. Her titles are the Witch Goddess, Ruby Sorceress, Stern Lady, Death Guardian. She expects a lot of obedience. That fits. Okay, so, I'm going to say these guys are all worshipping Wee Jas. And they're a little bit uneasy with her version of law. That's why these guys are neutral. And I think that's part of the issue with the settlement, is that the wizards are much more neutral, and there are priests who are like, no, we should be really lawful. We should have a very strict law instead of just looking out for each other. So there's a massive sort of Wee Jas presence here. She's a female god, so I'm going to assume that this is a matriarchy, and that's and that's why adepts and priests and rogues out rank the warriors, because warriors, yeah, they're strong, but they're not seen as clever. There's a strong gender caste system here. Men are big and burly and therefore only good for smashing things. That's not good for magic. So there's a lot of sexism towards men. Men are seen as stupid, simple. They're just around to sort of scare the monsters away. They can only smash things. It's the women who are in charge. It's the women who do the best worship of Wee Jas. It's the women who are the wizards. Men who are wizards are generally looked down on and like, well, you're not going to be a very good wizard. I think that there's a difference between the wizard and the sorcerer, because frankly, the wizard has studied really, really hard, and the sorcerer has just got God-given talent. And the sorcerer is like, therefore I should know more, and the wizard's like, therefore I should know more. I think the aristocrats are women who've entered, gone into their third stage, the crone stage of their lives, and that's because that makes you an honored person, and it doesn't matter anymore about what you know and what you don't know or what you can do. You just go right as soon as you become that older woman, you get to be an aristocrat and you get fated in our society. This actually always makes me think of the predators again, because if you have a society based on men going out and hunting, that means you tend to have women at home running the country. So I always imagine that the female predators are stronger, larger, more aggressive, um, and they send their little drones out into the world. Right. So what else do we need to know about our town? Um, we've established that it's a clan place. It's ruled by a matriarchy. There is a chief wrecker who is nominally the power base, but uh, that is simply he's the interpreter and distributor of the law, and he is kept in check, or at least has to negotiate with some wizards and adepts who are big on wee jazz and big on stealth and enchantment magic, and they are very big on magic being proof that they're better than everybody, and because they just own this corner of the world, they own this confluence. They People have to deal with them. They haven't been able to be wiped out yet because every nearby race and settlement has to go through the area. The river is that important, and everyone knows that if you start a war with these people, even though they seem to be assholes, then you're going to lose access to the river, and someone who isn't fighting a war with them will come out ahead. So it's a mug's game, as they say, to sort of go forward and push this. I'm now going to go over to the traits, and I'm going to just get some general traits for some of the people that you might meet here. So this I'm going to roll for is for the chief aristocrats. This is the oldest woman in the tribe, and I've rolled 27. She has an unusual hair color. Excellent, perfect. Okay, so the chief, let's call her the Great Mother, and she's distinguished by having, let's say, pitch black hair. No, let's say that because age is venerated, the whiter your hair, you're better. So she has really striking white hair. It becomes a thing that they actually dye. So her hair is incredibly white and incredibly long, and it's really noticeable. And when you are trying to ascend in this tribe as a woman, because age is venerated, you put a bit of dye in your hair and your beard. Let's have a look at who else we have. I'm gonna roll for the wizard and the sorcerer and see what traits I get for them. So I've got an 83 and a 40. So the wizard is curious, and the sorcerer is tall. Interesting. That's a bit boring, but I'm gonna say that again, the sorcerer is very much born into it, and they're just big, tall Amazonian woman, incredibly striking and attractive. And that's helping her sort of get power away from the wizard, who has been wizarding for a while. Is curious, it wants to learn about things, wants to gather lore. And this sorcerer is like, no, man, just be born into it. Just be hot and sexy like me. And there's a rivalry there because, of course, even though age is venerated, some of the foolish, silly men in the tribe are drawn to her as well. She probably actually has more sway with the warriors, which again is causing this power struggle, whereas the wizard has more sway with the aristocrats. Let's find out about what the trait for the chief of the warriors, and I've rolled a 67. Well mannered. Okay, all right. So I'm going to assume that is he is very obedient. So he believes in the system, right? And this is the sort of neutral part of it, is that he's like, we shouldn't just be pure chaos. We shouldn't be just stabbing each other back in the mouth. We should follow our rituals. So he's sort of lending towards the lawful evil bit of wee jazz. And he's like, we have to have a code, we have to have a system. And the religious, the wizard types and the rogues are the neutral type. Let's find out about a trait for the head of the rogues. We have a very, very high level 8 rogue here, and I've got a 43. So they are very, very fat. Okay, interesting. So we have a very fat, I'm going to call her Fat Hilda, and she is a big believer in deception. She is one of those people who is, oh, she's a power lifter, right? She is just absolutely fucking ripped, and that makes people underestimate her because they don't think that that's what muscle looks like. But she's actually famous because she can pull an entire boat underwater and just sink your boat. She walks out into the middle of the sea and just grabs the side of your boat, pulls it so far down that you sink. And she's become a very popular leader, and a very charismatic person. Possibly the way that she jumps, will affect how the rogue class decides what to do. We also have a level 8 expert, and I think these are the tool makers, maybe not boat makers, of the class. They're the people who are making all the tools for these people, and I've rolled missing a tooth. All right, so the level 8 expert is toothless Cal. That sounds good. He's actually missing all his teeth, and he's actually someone who's also very old. Boat builders can be of either gender, let's say that. I'm curious about these two people who I rolled as barbarians. To them, I'm thinking these are people who are scholars of some sort. They're representing a class that doesn't make a lot of sense in this world. So I'm going to roll just for a random class for them and assign them to something from another area. So I'm going to roll, and I've got, hang on, let me just pull up the list of the classes. There are all the way back to class, find a table, and zoom in. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 classes. I think that seems right. So I'll roll a d12, and we've got an 8 and a 7. So that gives us a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a paladin and a ranger. Okay, so I'm going to say that that one of these people is a paladin from a completely different religion. So there's a knight that lives here. They wear plate mail. They believe in Hieronymus. They're probably trying to, bring religion to the fuzzy wuzzies. And that's a kind of like captured story thing where like that person was captured and eventually came to sort of adjust. And he's teaching them about things, right? So that paladin is began as a captive and has become part of the tribe. But stands out a lot because they're all wearing sort of their rogue-based, even their paladins look like they are built to attack the river, and as a result, they don't look like shining knights of Hieronymus, but this guy does. He's all like, "No, that's my jam." And then we also have a ranger. I'm guessing again, actually, why not? They're friends, they're lovers. They're basically like the characters in that terrible film, The Great Wall, right? They were wandering adventurers, a paladin and a ranger, trying to sort of civilize the world. They got captured. They've made a home here in this town. Now, the town needs a name, so I'm going to let me see. I completely lost where the character names, the attributes are. I'm going to look at some general things that live around here, and see if I can come up with something that's distinguished this as place. Let's see. We will not roll on the random terrain. Actually, let's see if we can. What we might do is go back and look at Weejas again, and see if there's something about Weejas we can use to find our name. Go through feats. Wait, that's weapons. Oh, wait, no, I've gone too far. Description comes between feats and weapons. All right, so these guys are, yeah, they're Weejas worshippers. And what do we know about Weejas? Weejas is known as the Stern Lady, the Witch Goddess. She's associated with death and law and magic. Her favorite weapon is the dagger. So I'm thinking that this is maybe, yeah, let's call it Daggerford. That's a very old school fantasy name. Daggerford perhaps was even the name of the place beforehand, but now it is a place of, it's become the Daggerford township of this civilization of the Great Mother. And we have, she's the head aristocrat. She's assisted by a curious wizard and a tall, good-looking sorcerer, and a old, toothless man who builds boats, and a very, very well-mannered, polite, order-obsessed warrior. Oh, we didn't actually roll for the level 6 adept. Let's just roll a trait for him as well. So I'm assuming these people work under the wizard and things, but it might be interesting to find out if they have a trait of interest as well. So we'll find that NPC traits again, and I've rolled a 11. And so the adept, I'm thinking like these are sort of servant wizards. That's a bit of a magical cult. And that person sneezes and sniffers. So the high-level adept is a sneezy guy. Maybe he's allergic to all the incense or something. Yeah, and we have our paladin, we have our ranger. They were kidnapped and they've sort of been come into the village. There's a lot of commoners here, and there's a lot of rogues. And basically, yeah, they will absolutely wreck your ship. And because they're sort of neutral, they can't work out if they want to be taxed, basically want to run a toll system and just extort people for money and become businessmen. They or just be pure wreckers and just steal everything that they find. And that's also part of that tension between lawful evil and neutral evil. They can't decide if they want to be lawful evil. We have a code. If you pay us money and pay homage to us, we'll let you through, versus we just break shit. And that chaos actually has an advantage for them. It means that they keep the people on their toes. Nobody knows what's going to happen, which means that they can't adjust. They can't just go, well, we'll just factor that in. We'll either bring guards to fight them or we'll bring money. So that keeps their enemies on their toes, but it also means that they have this internal conflict. And every different Great Mother has a different view on this, about how much they should be following some sort of strictures versus how much it just should be, do what you want, kill some guys, take their boats. And yeah, dealing with them, therefore, is always a question mark for any adventurers coming, whether or anyone coming. You know, as I say, you have to figure out take the temperature of what's going on there at the moment. But it's really hard to do. A scout or guard just can't figure these things out. you never know when they're just going to like change their mind or change their style. Sometimes they sink your boat from underneath. Sometimes they hit you with arrows. Sometimes they throw incendiaries. And it's a real problem. It's a real problem for people who just want to make a living. But it's also where 1,600 people live. They deal with their fishes as well. They probably do a lot of trading. And because, again, we have this tension between we're not just a pure pack of raiding people coming across the border. We are a settlement. And that means that you can't just, push us away or go around us. We're putting down roots. We're traveling. And some of the people who live in Duck Arm have been to there or come from there. They're defected from there. They've inherited some of those points of view. Sometimes people just wander away. They go, this isn't the life for me, particularly men who have no status or women who can't learn magic. There are lots of reasons for people to go, this society doesn't have much for me. I'm going to wander away to the human world. I'm going to end up in places like Duck Arm, because going to a big city, there's a lot of culture clash, but going to a small place like Duck Arm, there's so few of them that they can go, oh, okay, yeah, we know that you're a big threat down the road, but since we're not a big civilization, it's not like every day we get news of, oh, the Weejass worshippers at Daggerford have killed another. We just go, oh, there's some bad people out there, but you don't seem to be that. So small towns, people like Ed going to run into them. It could be, I'm sure Kris has already got ideas, but possibly the one monk who lives in the town is actually a monk of Weejass and was trying to become part of that society and join that religion and still believes in it. Of course, Kris is, 200 episodes, 200 pages ahead of us before he sees this. But there's Daggerford. It's a little place that has a lot of interesting conflicts. The DMG actually does a pretty good job about this, giving you some ideas. It's all very level based, but if you've got some inspiration, you can go with that. I also recommend the Border Princes supplement for Warhammer 2nd edition. I didn't work on that one, but it has a lot of things for just populating an area with power bases and weird stuff. I love random tables, and Warhammer always did an amazing job of that. At a time when random tables were generally a little bit frowned upon, even though D&D and Warhammer, people are like, well, random is bad. But random is good. Random gives you weird stuff. We never could have come up with this on our own. Anyway, hope you enjoyed Daggerford. As always, I adore MegaDumbCast. It is the highlight of my day some days, and I hope it runs for many, many more years, and I hope you enjoyed this little addition to the podcast. Bye for now.